Have you ever wondered why Will Byers, the quiet kid, the forgotten kid, the boy who vanished in season 1 and spent the rest of his life trying to feel normal, suddenly becomes the center of everything in season 5? Why does he get his powers back? Why does he feel Vecna before anyone else does? Even when the world thinks the danger is over, why him and not anyone else? To understand this, you have to stop looking at Stranger Things as a monster show and start looking at it the way the writers built it from day one, as an emotional story about connection, trauma, and identity. Because Will Byers does not get powers just for hype. He gets them because the story was always secretly about him. From the very beginning, Will wasn't just a victim. He wasn't taken because he was unlucky. He was taken because he was different. Not different in the superpower way like 11, different in the emotional sense. He feels more than the others. He senses things the others ignore. Where everyone sees the world in straight lines, Will feels it in vibrations. Even in season 1, before anything supernatural touched him, Will had a kind of sensitivity, a deeper awareness, that made him the perfect bridge between the real world and the upside down. He didn't choose it, it chose him. And when the upside down dragged him in, it didn't just hurt him, it marked him. Trauma leaves scars, but supernatural trauma leaves frequencies. While everyone else healed and moved on, Will carried something inside him that never fully went away. Not the monster, but the echo of it. The feeling of something cold and ancient breathing inside the back of his mind. The memory of fear that never really leaves you. When the Mind Flayer infected him in season 2, it didn't control him because he was weak. It controlled him because his mind was already open. He was already connected. And even after they burned it out of him, even after the possession ended, the imprint stayed. Season 3, Season 4, Season 5, every time danger rises, Will feels it before anyone else can even name it. His body remembers, his mind remembers, his emotions remember everything. Season 5 doesn't give Will new powers. It simply wakes up what was always there, like a radio signal that suddenly becomes clear after years of static. And here's the part people overlook. Will's strength was never meant to look like 11's. 11 explodes with power. Will implodes with emotion. She is force. He is feeling. She moves objects. He senses truths. In a world full of fighters, Will is the listener, the emotional core, the one person who absorbs more pain than he shows and understands more than he says. People like Will exist in real life too. Quiet, introverted, sensitive. And the world often mistakes that sensitivity for weakness. But season 5 reveals something powerful. People who feel deeply carry a strength the world can't easily measure. Because emotional depth is not fragility, it's intuition, it's awareness. It's the ability to connect to things other people can't even sense. Vecna targets emotions. The Mind Flayer feeds on fear. The Upside Down thrives on pain. And Will is the only one who experienced all of that from the inside. He knows the voice of the dark better than anyone. He knows its coldness, its weight, its hunger. And that makes him the only one who can truly understand it or stand against it. But here's the deeper truth. Will's powers don't return because a monster touched him. They return because he finally accepts who he is. For years, Will hid every part of himself. His trauma, his loneliness, his insecurities, even his identity. He tried to force himself into a version of normal that was never meant for him. He tried to silence what made him different because he didn't want to burden anyone. But in season 5, the truth hits him like a wave. He was never broken, he was never weak. He was the key. He always was. The moment Will stops running from his emotions, the moment he embraces the truth about what he feels and who he is, something inside him unlocks, and the connection that was sleeping for years suddenly opens again. This is why his powers come back. Not through rage, not through training, but through acceptance. Because power in Stranger Things is not physical, it's psychological. 11 became unstoppable when she accepted her past. Max became fearless when she confronted her guilt. Hopper became a warrior when he let go of his self-hatred. And Will becomes supernatural again the moment he stops hiding himself. That is what makes him the emotional heart of Stranger Things. Vecna represents isolation, fear, resentment, a man who turned his pain into destruction. Will represents connection, empathy, love, a boy who turns his pain into intuition. They are foils, opposites, two sides of the same scar. One uses his trauma to break the world. The other uses his trauma to understand it. That is why their connection is so strong. That is why Will feels Vecna breathe. That is why the Mind Flayer whispers through him. And that is why, in the final season, the story circles back to where it all began, with Will. Season 1 began with the world losing Will. Season 5 ends with Will discovering himself. And that is not an accident. Stranger Things was never Eleven's story alone. It was always Will's story too. A quiet boy learning that the thing he hated most about himself was the thing that made him powerful. Will Byers gets his powers back because he was never powerless. He simply didn't believe in who he was, until now. And that is why he might be the one who ends everything.